What is up, everybody? Welcome to my little corner of the internet, my channel. This is my little section of the internet where I get to talk about whatever I want, and I hope you're here for it. I hope you're here for the ride. We're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff, mostly anime and nerd related things, but I also have a lot of different special interests such as cosplay, martial arts, whatever I want to talk about. I just want to put it on here. We are going to, though, to be talking about Gachiakuta this episode. I got a chance to watch the first 2 episodes of Gachiakuta, and for some reason episode 3 is delayed a week, which is great because that gave me time to actually sit down and think about this show and what I think about it so far. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the topic today. And if this is up your alley, then go ahead and drop a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Let's get this algorithm going and push me to the top. You know, Mr. Beast, I'm coming for you. No. All right, so it is said that when an object is treated with care, a soul will come to inhibit it. That's basically the tagline. That's basically the thesis of this entire show, Gachiakuta. This show has been on my radar for a while. It's something that I've been hearing splashes about. I've been hearing it was getting more popular, more and more popular. And it started as a manga. I never really got a chance to read the manga, but once I heard it was becoming an anime, honestly, animation is my preferred medium, my preferred way of ingesting storytelling. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna pretend that I wanted to read the manga. I'm just gonna check out the anime when it came out. So the anime did come out, and here we are, 2 episodes in. And I'm just gonna give my thoughts on it. Also, this will be a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the episode, I would just go ahead and go watch it. It is available on Crunchyroll at this moment. The first 2 episodes are out as of the recording of this video. But basically, in the very beginning of the show, we do see what looks like this pristine utopian society. Everything's all white and pristine and clean, right? Emphasis on clean. And we do get a little girl with a broken stuffed toy. That's basically the opening shot of this series. And she's sad that the toy is ruined or broken, and her mom is like, money, 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 money. She laughs and money. She says, don't worry about it, I got you, just throw it away, that thing's dirty, we'll get a new one. And it's actually perfectly fine, it's just a little ripped, right? So she chucks it away, dumps it in the garbage, and it kind of just goes underground to be forgotten, to never be seen again, right? We see this masked figure that's hanging out around the trash for some strange reason, right? But underground in the trash recycling area, I don't know what you want to call it, the dumpster, they kind of have this underground system of trash disposal, right? But we do see somebody with these distinct gloves breaking into the facility, basically just to rummage through the trash. That's when we get it. Boom, Gachiakuta. Pretty sick design. I don't know what that even stands for, what that word even means, if it is even a word, or if it's just a mishmash of sounds, but it sounds cool as hell. I love saying it. Gachiakuta. I love saying it. But our intruder is found out. He is found by one of the guards who basically says, you know, you're not allowed to be here. Why does a trash facility need guards, like armed guards? That is very strange, right? But the would-be assassin, thief, person guy is way too quick for anybody. He basically just makes a run for it. We do get a flash of the red eyes under the hood of this character, but basically he's outspeeding bullets. So this character's already physically insane, already a physical feat. So like, is this person special, or is this just the world we're living in where people are just literally faster than bullets? Those questions to be determined. This is a shonen anime, by the way, so like that's probably just the caliber that we're dealing with here. So we then do see that the world, the society is basically split. We have the clean, pristine area, and then divided by a giant gate is this slummy, rundown, favela looking area. I don't know if they actually have names, I forgot, but one side is just, you know, they want nothing to do with the other, right? But there is some talk going around the town about these trash raiders. That's basically what we just saw. We just saw a trash raid, and everybody's basically pinning it on this white-haired kid with red eyes, who is our main character. This is Rudo. We are introduced to Rudo. His first thing we see is he is fixing, kind of tinkering with trash, garbage, and we do see he has the bunny rabbit of the little girl that I guess he fixed or that he stole from the trash, right? This whole scene is basically just a lot of exposition because he runs into his childhood friend. Her name is Chiwa, and she's kind of saying like, oh my god, like, was that you? Were you the trash guy again? And he's just like, hey, listen, I don't know what you're talking about, babe, but here's a new present, you know. But she basically explains that he's always kind of doing this. He's always going down there picking up garbage, and we do kind of see a little bit of the psychology behind it. We do see that Rudo kind of just thinks that they're just throwing away things that actually have value because he intrinsically feels that these things have souls. He also does make some money reselling the stuff, so it does kind of help monetarily, right? There's a monetary gain. It basically is set up that this is something that not everybody does and not everybody thinks this way, right? So even in the slums, right, Rudo isn't necessarily looked down favorably because even his peers, even the kids in the neighborhood are basically saying like, yo, Chiwa, like don't talk to this kid, he's dirty, he's stinky, like his hair whack, his red eyes whack, the way he plays in the garbage whack, the way his father's a murderer whack, right? That's basically something that's just exposited, right? So the people in the slums are kind of trying to essentially be on their best behavior, right? If they kind of go down the life of villainy, it's basically like not a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy in the way that if they're told that they're garbage, if they're told they're trash, if they're told they're scum, and they act like they're going to start believing it. So everybody in the slum part of the city tries not to act like trash and garbage and criminals, essentially, because they don't want to be seen as that. So they're like psychologically trying to dig themselves out of the hole. So when Rudo goes and digs trash, even his people in this community are like, yo, like stop doing that, bro, like you gotta chill. So even amongst his people, he's a bit of an outsider. This is our main character, Rudo, right? The other thing that is brought up in this scene are his dirty gloves. He's got these brown or grayish kind of gloves. Apparently there's something going on underneath them. There's some kind of secrets that he hides with them. So we learn that. We learn the way the city structure is set up. We learn that Rudo's father is a murderer. And the funny thing is, we also kind of learn that even though Rudo is the main character, he's pretty melancholic, he does have that kind of psychotic murderer streak, right? As we see with the neighborhood kid. If that situation got even more, like if he kept talking crap about him, he probably definitely would have done some murderous things to that kid, you know? So we do learn a lot actually in that scene. So there is kind of very effective storytelling going on there. But then after that, right? So we're introduced with all the, I don't want to say negative sides of Rudo, but all the things that make him an outsider. Then we're immediately kind of hit with the things that make him pretty down to earth, pretty normal of a kid. We see he gets real blushy and shy around Chiwa, which is his crush, his love interest at the moment, right? She does notice the bunny rabbit that he clearly kind of got for her, but he's basically too afraid and too much of a 12-year-old kid. I don't know how old this kid is. He just seems in that 12, 13, you know, it's shonen anime, so he's probably around that age. He tries to give it to her, but it kind of doesn't go the way he wanted it to. He kind of runs off before he can. So all he has to do at this point is just kind of go home. At home, though, he does run into his father figure, his foster father, Regto. And this guy, man, I like this dude. Regto, he's cool, man. He feels like Jiraiya. He feels like Master Jiraiya in a sense. He's like the older, sage-like guy, but he's also kind of like got that dad energy. Like he just makes fun of Rudo kind of constantly. Like he's always teasing him. So they kind of have that banter going on, and the teasing mostly is around Chiwa and Rudo's inability to talk to Chiwa and express how he feels. So he's trying to get him to express how he feels and come out of his shell, which is very relatable. Very relatable stuff right there. But in the scene, we also do basically get the exposition that Regto has been raising Rudo since he was a kid. They're very close. And he was also the one that gave him the gloves, basically saying that, hey, man, if you care for these, like they'll have a soul in them. And as Regto is dressing the wounds that Rudo received during the trash raid, we do see his ungloved hands. They're all black. Kind of looks like, not rigor mortis, but like when, I forget the word for it, but when somebody dies and their hands lose the blood and they get all decrepit, right? Kind of looks like that's going on. It's chalked up to a curse, has something to do with Rudo's father, perhaps. But in this scene, we are explained that Rudo's father was sent into the pit, which is what happens to all the criminals in the society when they're basically deemed a criminal. They get sent down to the pit, which is like a giant mass of darkness at the edge of the town, and nobody really knows what happens when you're sent there. But when you're sent there, it's literally just bad news and you're probably just dead. There's no way back up, right? So that's where Rudo's daddy is, which is very unfortunate for him. The next scene basically takes place with Chiwa and Rudo. Rudo's overlooking the pit. He does see an execution go on and basically just kind of lamenting at that. But they do have this moment between the two of them where Rudo does finally give Chiwa the stuffed doll that he wanted to since the beginning. She does accept it. There's also definitely some romance going on there, because she does mention something along the lines of like, Rudo, you have to take care of yourself because we love you, like Regto loves you. She says something like that, and he gets all crazy because he's like, we, like, oh my god, like what, like did you say we? And then she's like, well, like duh. And she starts blushing too. It's pretty wholesome, you know, pretty cute little moment, little will they won't they type of thing, but it's very bog standard for what you normally see in like shonen anime like this. But I guess the big takeaway on this scene here is that she kind of mentions like, hey, you know, like people care about you, so be careful. We don't want to see you get thrown into the pit because we love you, like type stuff, right? So Rudo does give Chiwa the doll. She accepts it. He goes to run home to tell Regto basically, hey, like I did it. Oh my god, cool. And when he does, on his way home, he does run into one of the apostles, which is basically, I think, the guards of the nicer town, or the nicer side. I think they're called the apostles for some reason. So he runs into one of those guys and he's just like, okay, that's weird. Then he runs home. But when he runs home, man, y'all probably saw it coming. I guess, I don't know. I guess I was the only one. I didn't see it coming. But he finds Regto dead. My god. Stabbed right through the chest by the masked figure that we saw in the beginning of the episode. The masked figure is just hovering over his body, driving the sword into him. And I like that guy, man. I liked Regto. Regto was my dude. Rudo does try to fight him off, but guy's just too good for him. He's way too clean. So he does drop like a mysterious book. He picks it up and he literally just saunters his way out of that house. Murderer and all. Regto does give his last kind of dying speech thing, and it's basically just telling Rudo like, you've got to change this world, man. Which is very strange because I feel like it kind of implies that there are bigger mysteries here. I mean, clearly there are bigger mysteries here, because who is this man? Why did he just kill Regto? What is that book? Like, this wasn't just a random murder. It wasn't just a random killing. Like, Regto was probably an important guy that was flying too close to the sun on some secret that we're going to find out about later, right? But in the moment, all we get is just the mystery of like, why is this happening, right? And Regto basically passing his inherited will to Rudo, saying, you got to change this world. And it's like, whoa, like, that's crazy. Like, not for nothing, like the whole episode, we as the viewers, we're getting bombarded with how shitty of a world this is, but like for Rudo, this is just how things are. So like, why is he now suddenly getting dumped that this world needs to be changed? That's very strange, which kind of just makes me think that Regto was probably trying to do that in some way, or he was on the verge of figuring out how to do something or change the way this world operates, and now he's passing that task onto Rudo. But before Rudo can kind of even contemplate what's going on and kind of get a hold of what's going on, the stupid guards come in and they arrest him, which really sucks. And they blame him for the murder, which is that's fair, right? Yeah, that's totally fair. So they blame him for the murder because they have no other culprits, obviously. And next thing we know, a crowd is gathering. They're saying Rudo has finally killed somebody. Like the whole town thought he was already a bad egg anyway, and they thought he was already a murderer and the trash guy, whatever. So without any sort of trial, he's just strung up. Everyone's just like, yeah, this kid's gonna die. And yeah, it's really, it sucks. I mean, he's kind of going crazy right here. The crowd's chanting like, kill this kid, kill this kid. And in the crowd, he does see Chiwa. Chiwa's holding the animal, and he's like screaming at her like Chiwa, like come on, like you gotta believe me, like you gotta find the culprit. And she's like, who is this man? She just absolves herself. She's like, you really are a criminal, man. Drops the bunny, drops the stuffed animal. And I was like, dang, man, that's rough. I didn't see it. I don't know why I didn't see that coming. Like you thought Chiwa would kind of be on his side, and nah, not at all. Rudo starts having a psychotic episode. You know, he basically starts having a mental breakdown. He's like, you guys are all the filth here. You guys are the trash, which is true, which is very true, right? He's like, you're just worthless lumps of garbage. I'm gonna send you all to hell. But before he gets like executed, because the signal is like the priest guy, I guess, he's waving his hand, and then the lines are cut, and then you fall into the pit. But before that happens, in the crowd, he also does spot the actual murder. And I actually love the way this scene was directed, because it's like you got the hand of the guy about to wave the signal, but then in between the fingers is where Rudo spots the masked dude, like in the distance. And I don't know why, but just from like a composition standpoint, that was like really slick to me. And actually, spoiler alert, and that's not how that happens in the manga too. So that's something that was added in the anime that I thought was actually really neat. It adds drama, adds attention, and it just kind of makes you go like, oh, like what, like is this planned? Like why is he in the crowd? Like it's like it's not like he killed Regto and bounced. So it's like, and before he could even react to anything, you get the point of view shot of him just dropping, and I'm like, yo, I was like, I don't know why, but like that made my heart like sink a little bit. Like, so our boy, he fell into the pit. It's actually wild. On his way down, he's just cursing the entire world. I'll send you guys to hell, all of you. I'll kill you all. And I'm like, yeah, like this is our main character. We're rooting for this kid. Like, okay, all right, I get it. He's been wronged. He's been wronged. I don't know how to feel about this. He's clearly been wronged, but for him to so easily just go straight to murder, I'll kill you all. It tells you like it was in there, and we saw it a little bit when his little friend from the community came by and he shot him that murderous look. Like, what's going on here? Like he is our main character. He is supposed to be our hero, but he definitely has that edge to him, that kind of like, I don't want to say murderous intent, because so far whatever, but he's definitely like the weird kid or the outsider. He's definitely the kid that you want to keep your eye on, because it's in there. Like he could snap, say the wrong thing, lose control, rage out. So he doesn't have a grip on his emotions, and I wonder like how much of that is like from his dad, or is it just, you know, just the type of guy he is. So we see a lot of it on his way down on the descent. We do see him cursing the world, and it's pretty crazy. Like I just really like the way it was animated and the way it was delivered. Somehow he survives the fall. Oh, on the way down, actually, I think this is going to be important, but he sees this thing in the distance that even in the manga, it's not clear what it is. So I couldn't even state what it is, but it's like this mass. It could be like a kaiju type thing, like a giant creature, or it could be a facility. I can't tell, but there's like the sun is in the distance, and you can kind of see this thing, and that's basically the last thing he sees before he kind of like blacks out. So that seems like something like a mystery of sorts. Couldn't really make out what was going on, but he wakes up and he's in trash. He somehow survived. Okay. That's already crazy. No crazy injuries. He's kind of fine for the most part. You know, he's fine. He's no broken bones, no internal bleeding, just softly placed in garbage. But that's what it is, though. It's garbage for as far as the eye can see. And this is life. This is his new home now. He is now in garbage. But before he even has time to act, he just kind of looks up and he sees this monstrous moving trash beast made of recyclables and lamp posts and glass shards and just trash. Literally a living heap of trash turned into a kaiju. And that's the pit. This is where all filth ends up. Trash, people, everything. And somehow, kind of like the tenet of the show, when you take care of something long enough, a soul will come to inhabit it. This is kind of the opposite, I guess. Whatever, I don't know. The idea of souls inhabiting trash, that's what's going on here. That is episode 1 of Gachiakuta. It was very exposition-ish, right? But I think it does enough to set up the society, set up kind of a little bit of classism that's kind of also going on here too, where we have the haves and the have-nots, basically. And it basically kicks off Rudo's hero's journey, because everybody you gotta have one, right? So he's got his hero's journey where he has a life. Father figure really gets killed, and he gets whisked off on a journey. He didn't have his own agency to do it. It's just things that happened to him, but that's also part of the hero's journey as well. So just yeah, we're just diving straight into it. Dropping him off in the trash in the pit. So my thoughts on it, like I said, I think this show so far is just fire. I mean, it was watching the first episode it definitely got me hooked enough to watch the second. I just think the designs in the show are just really neat. Rudo has these two striking kind of features, and it's literally like, other than that, it's all white. white and gray and a little gold, right? But other than that, he's got his gloves and his eyes, and those are the two features that Rudo has, and it kind of makes the emphasis on him, right? So the gloves are given to him by his father figure, right, to hide his cursed hands, and his eyes are just red, striking red eyes. So it's like anytime he like looks up at somebody with those eyes, it's like whoa, like what's going on here? Like this kid is crazy, right? So just very powerful character design just on that aspect, just using color or lack thereof, because it's mostly white, and then just the two things that we gotta focus on, right? Eyes and gloves. So is that important coming later? Who knows, maybe. It kind of also, we have to see like the rest of the cast, because in this world that might not even be that strange once we start seeing other characters, but it does seem funny to me that in this world we spent a lot of time setting up the world that we lived in, and then personally I was expecting Chiwa to be more of a character. Like, yeah, she shows up in the first episode, but I thought she was going to be important. I thought she was a mainstay, and it definitely, unless we're getting back up to the surface world, we're done. We're done with Chiwa. We're probably not seeing her for a while. So I was like kind of surprised. I was like, oh wow, like I wasn't expecting the status quo to shift that much, in the sense that Rudo is now super detached from home, right? Like all the characters that we met, I mean, really Chiwa is really the only important one. Regto is killed. So anyway, so who knows next time we're gonna see Chiwa. She's probably not even important anymore. Who knows? Doesn't matter that much. So we have the death of Regto, the exposition of this world. It is kind of neat, you know. I feel like one man's trash is another man's treasure type vibe in this show. So it is interesting so far. The only last thing I do want to mention, I did end up checking out the first chapter of the manga. So when I talk about things from the manga, it's mostly because I want to try and kind of consume both side by side. I'm going to try for as long as I can keep up with that. So I learned that the first episode of Gachiakuta does pretty much a pretty faithful adaptation of the first chapter of Gachiakuta. And maybe you can comment, because I don't actually know the answer to this and I'm too lazy to look it up. But Gachiakuta, I don't know if it's a monthly series or if it's weekly. The first chapter is pretty long. I think it's about 50 something pages or so. So that makes me think it's a monthly, but it could have just been a big debut long chapter. I don't know yet. I haven't really seen more. But one of the changes that I thought was just neat that the anime did was that it did switch kind of some of the events. When Rudo gives Chiwa the doll and he's running home, he bumps into one of the apostle guys, one of the guards, and it's very much kind of a throwaway scene because it doesn't actually matter. All it does, I guess, is say that the apostles are in the area, which is weird when you think about it, because like, why wouldn't they be on their side, right? But we have to assume that, like, there's also nothing saying that they don't act as the police in the slums as well. So it's kind of just like running into the cops. That's kind of what it feels like. So it's like you're running home and boom, you just bump into a cop, and it's like, is this important? Like, is this weird or is this normal? Can't tell. But it does set up the idea that they're in the area, so that way when they come to arrest Rudo later, it's not as out of left field as it was in the manga, because in the manga, Rudo bumps into the masked man instead, or the masked figure, the masked non-binary individual. He bumps into them, and the masked figure drops the book, which is similar to what happened in Regto's house, and he picks up the book, he leaves, and then when Rudo goes home, he then sees Regto stabbed. So it's a little different because Rudo himself kind of has to put two and two together. It's not as obvious as it was in the anime that this guy killed Regto. In the manga, it's like, boom, ran into the masked guy. Rudo essentially is just like, well, that's weird. Then he goes home and sees Regto dead. Everything else kind of plays out the same, right? But I just think it's interesting that the anime took that liberty to just make it very painfully obvious that this guy killed Regto. Took a little bit of the mystery element out of it, right? We as the audience, I guess we don't have it concrete that the masked guy killed Regto, so there technically could have been a possibility that, maybe something else killed Regto and the masked guy was involved, or the masked guy maybe summoned something that could kill Regto, or maybe the masked guy is actually a hero and he was fighting the thing that killed Regto. Like we don't, like, in the manga, you don't know. It's assumed he killed Regto because circumstantial evidence, but in the anime, it's obvious. He's literally standing right there. So that kind of just makes me think that in the manga, it's not much of a reveal. Like, that's probably just straight what happens. In the manga, like, the masked figure probably literally does kill Regto, which would make it safe for the anime to just kind of change that fact around. Because if, let's say in the manga, because obviously the manga's got like 100 something chapters out already, but let's say hypothetically in the manga it was revealed that the masked guy did not kill Regto, instead he was Regto all along in a mask. I don't know, like let's say hypothetically that happened, then the anime wouldn't have been able to spoil that or they wouldn't have been able to put the masked guy there, because I'm assuming they would have consulted with the author, who then would have been like, no, like you can't change that because that's not what that's not the story I'm writing, like I'm not getting there. This is Bones we're talking about, the studio that animated Soul Eater and I believe Full Metal Alchemist 2007. Don't quote me on that, again, too lazy to look it up. But so I hope that we get a faithful adaptation of the manga and we don't get another Soul Eater thing where the anime splits off and starts kind of doing its own thing and starts heading towards its own conclusion early instead of adapting the entire series. So who knows? And then the last thing I want to talk about, and it's already getting pretty long for my very first video, but the last thing I want to talk about is the mangaka, the creator of Gachiakuta. I did a little bit of research going into this. Some information just kind of found me. But the creator is Kei Urana. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And she is a woman. Not that it matters, right? It shouldn't matter, but it kind of matters because it's very interesting for a woman in, not so much in current year, it's 2025, right? Women can do anything and everything, right? Historically, right, shonen manga has been a very male dominated field. So it's just very cool, very neat to see examples of women writing shonen specifically. Like shonen is boys manga, and being successful. I guess that's a third thing. So I mean, we see some of it. I think a couple examples. Obviously, I think the most notable example I believe would be Hiromu Arakawa in Full Metal Alchemist. But then there's also the creator of Exorcist, whose name is escaping me right now. Pretty sure is a female. And then I also think Katekyo Hitman Reborn's creator is a female. Don't quote me on that as well. So I think there's some 3 popular examples. How old is Exorcist and Reborn, right? So I feel like once every like 5 or 10 years you might get one female that kind of breaks through, you know. So I'd love to see more, but here is just another great example of a successful female shonen mangaka. So let's just give our clap so far, right? And you know, let's hope we see a lot more in the future. Obviously, male perspectives come into play when it comes, you know, obviously all the mangaka have editors and stuff, so, but they're usually male as well. So a lot of the shonen manga that comes out just is through the lens of a male perspective. So it's just neat to kind of see what a female can do with it. You know, what types of characters are we getting through the female's perspective of a male shonen. It's kind of like the trope of women writing women versus men writing women. Like I'll find a meme somewhere, I'll put it up, but it's kind of like that, but like reverse. So you know, just kind of take note. I'm all here for it, right? So more power to the show. Also, another fun fact about Kei Urana is that I think this is her first serialized work. I think everything else before this was one shots, but she was a fan of Soul Eater and then ended up working as an assistant to Atsushi Okubo, the creator of Soul Eater. So again, applause to her. But yeah, you can see that. You can feel, especially in the manga. And oh my god, I got a rant. Side note, oh my god, the manga is so good, man. I'm 3 chapters into the manga, and I'm impressed with the art. It is so fire, and the style as well, right? But okay, I'm gonna get into that a little later. But I think the influences from Soul Eater are definitely felt here. Rudo doesn't really feel like Soul, but he feels like a character that would come out of that universe. Definitely a little bit of Soul, a little bit of Death the Kid, a little bit of Black Star. Like I feel like this series is kind of edgy and gritty, and kind of it has like a similar vibe, a similar kind of punk aesthetic, punk vibe. I've seen some of the characters that show up later too, so I'm like, yeah, like we're in this age now where, you know, not everybody's influenced by Dragon Ball anymore, right? I lived through that. Some of you older heads, we lived through that. We lived through the Dragon Ball inspiring everybody generation, and that's how we got the big 3, you know. And now we're in the realm of the big three inspiring other people, and then you get like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen and Gachiakuta being inspired by Soul Eater. And but yeah, so she's worked on she worked with Okubo on Fire Force. I don't know if I mentioned that, but specifically on Fire Force, she worked with him. If you read the manga, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because you can look at the manga and go, oh yeah, this feels like it came kind of from Soul Eater ish. Like it has that punk vibe, you know, and it's great. I love it. It's like, it's a little bit of Jet Set Radio, it's a little bit of Soul Eater, it's a little bit of kind of Bleach or like JJK. It's got a lot going on here, and I think the vibes are pretty great. But yeah, that about wraps up my thoughts on Gachiakuta episode Uno. I'm gonna try and make this a weekly thing as I watch some stuff. I'm gonna talk about them, give my little reviews. So far this episode was pretty great. I don't want to put like a number on it, but I like it. And if you're watching it, I hope you like it too. Let's make Gachiakuta the next big thing, you know, like I hope the show pops off, and I hope it gets the longevity it deserves. The next episode, I'm going to look at episode 2, obviously, but I'm also going to talk a little bit more about the manga. I just don't want this video to be way too long, but I'll probably put my thoughts of the manga a little bit on that. So if you like the vibe, if you like hanging out with me as I watch some anime and we talk about it, and we talk about anything and everything that kind of goes on, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we can continue the vibes. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.